Imagine a newly drafted NFL rookie signing a $1.2 million contract. You expect him to pull up in a Ferrari to a mansion in the hills. Instead, he drives a Honda to a modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. It looks like he is being cheap, but he is actually being a financial genius. Most fans assume an NFL paycheck guarantees a life of luxury. However, the smartest players in the league are actively avoiding high-end real estate. They know a brutal statistic that most fans ignore: the average NFL career lasts just 3.3 years. That means a rich rookie can easily become a bankrupt 26-year-old if he miscalculates his first big purchase. In this video, we are breaking down the exact tax calculations that shock new players, the mansion trap that ruins careers, and the specific financial playbook used by stars like Marshawn Lynch and Kirk Cousins to build generational wealth. To understand why they buy cheap houses, you first have to understand what that paycheck actually looks like. We need to start with the headline versus reality breakdown. Let's use the 2025 rookie minimum, which sits roughly between $840,000 and $1.2 million. On paper, you are a millionaire. In reality, you are a temporary employee with a very shaky contract. Here's a quick compliance sidebar. NFL contracts are rarely fully guaranteed. A 4-year deal can end in 6 months with zero payout if you get cut. That means liquidity is essential because the income stream is incredibly fragile. You cannot pay a mortgage with potential earnings. Let's run the numbers for scenario A. Say you get drafted by the Los Angeles Rams with a $1 million salary. First, federal tax takes 37%. Then California state tax takes another 13 to 14%. On top of that, you have the jock tax. This means you have to file tax returns in every single state where you play an away game, paying a percentage of your game check to that local government. Finally, your agent takes a 3% fee. The result? That $1 million salary becomes roughly $450,000 in actual take-home pay. You have lost more than half your income before it even hits your checking account. It is brutal. Now compare that to scenario B. You get drafted by the Miami Dolphins or Dallas Cowboys. There is no state income tax, which saves you about 13%. However, federal taxes and agent fees still strip 40% off the top. Even in this low tax haven, the millionaire is actually taking home about $600,000. This creates the down payment problem. If you want to buy a standard luxury home for $2 million, you typically need a 20% down payment. Because rookies have no long-term employment history, banks often demand this cash up front. That is $400,000 cash leaving your pocket. Do the math. If you are that player in Los Angeles, buying that house immediately wipes out nearly 90% of your liquid cash for the entire year. Even if you are in Miami, it wipes out nearly 70%. You are effectively betting your entire financial safety net on a single asset. If you get injured or cut, you are stuck with an illiquid house and zero cash reserves. You are walking a financial tightrope from day one. But the down payment isn't even the part that bankrupts most players. It is the monthly burn that follows. Let's look at the math that terrifyingly few rookies actually run before they sign the deed. We are going to compare two specific timelines over a 5-year period. On the left side of the screen, we have the dream, a $5 million estate in a gated Los Angeles community. On the right, we have the smart play, a $750,000 modest home in a boring suburb. The down payment hurts, but the monthly burn rate is what kills you. It starts with property taxes. In a high-tax state, you are looking at roughly 1.25 to 2% annually. On that $5 million mansion, that is a tax bill of roughly $60,000 to $100,000 every single year. You are paying a 6-figure salary to the government just for the privilege of sleeping in your own bed. Then comes the jumbo pricing effect on maintenance. This is the hidden tax of luxury real estate that nobody warns you about. When a contractor pulls up to a $5 million gate, the price of service triples. A roof repair isn't $5,000, it is $50,000 because the materials are custom slate imported from Italy. You aren't just paying for the utility, you are paying a wealth tax on every service call. Heating a massive pool can cost $2,000 a month. You need a full-time landscaping crew to manage the grounds, a cleaning staff to handle 6,000 square feet, and often private security because your address is public record. When you add up the mortgage interest, the property taxes, the insurance, the jumbo maintenance, and the staff, the carrying cost of that mansion is astronomical. You are effectively losing the value of a brand new Ferrari every single year just to keep the lights on. That is $200,000 of post-tax cash incinerated annually. Now contrast that with the middle-class math of the $750,000 home. Your property taxes drop to a manageable $10,000. Your maintenance is standard. You can hire a regular plumber without paying a celebrity premium. You don't need a staff, you can mow your own lawn or pay a neighborhood kid $50. This is exactly why Kirk Cousins became a legend in financial circles. Despite signing fully guaranteed contracts worth hundreds of millions, he famously drove an old, dented conversion van and lived in a modest home during his early years. He didn't care about the locker room flex. He cared about the burn rate. Russell Wilson followed a similar trajectory. Early in his career, when he was on a third-round rookie contract, he lived modestly. He waited until he secured his second and third massive extensions before upgrading to the mega mansion lifestyle. He earned the luxury by securing the second contract rather than gambling on it with the first. The opportunity cost here is staggering. If you waste $1.2 million on mansion carrying costs over 5 years, that is money that is gone forever. It can never be invested, it can never compound, and it can never save you when your knee blows out in week 4. This brings us to the financial offensive coordinators who rewrote the game, Marshawn Lynch and Rob Gronkowski. These guys are the icons of stealth wealth. Marshawn Lynch famously operated with a strict separation of church and state regarding his finances. He lived entirely off his endorsement money, Subway commercials, Skittles deals, and appearance fees. He reportedly banked 100% of his actual NFL game checks. By living cheap relative to his income, he treated his NFL contract like a high-yield savings account rather than a checking account. Rob Gronkowski did the same thing. While he cultivated a party boy persona in the media, smashing beers and spiking footballs, he was a financial miser behind the scenes. He wrote in his autobiography that he lived off his signing bonuses and endorsement cash, refusing to touch his base salary for lifestyle creep. He saved the big money for the future. Here is the runway calculation that makes this strategy so powerful. Let's go back to our housing example. Suppose a player chooses the cheap house and saves the $500,000 difference in down payment and carrying costs in year 1. If he puts that $500,000 into a boring S&P 500 index fund with a historical 7% return, or buys into a stable franchise opportunity like a fast food chain yielding 6%, the math transforms his future. He isn't just saving cash, he is buying freedom. Over a 10-year period, thanks to the magic of compound interest, that single housing decision can grow into a nest egg worth over $2 million. That might not sound like baller money compared to a headline contract, but remember the context. The average NFL career is over in 3 years. This runway ensures that when the NFL checks stop coming at age 26, the player has passive income. That $2 million account can generate $140,000 a year in interest forever. That is a comfortable upper middle class life without ever having to work a desperate job. The psychological shift is just as important. Living in a normal neighborhood keeps players grounded. When you live in a mansion, you feel rich, which often leads to complacency. When you live in a normal house, you stay hungry because you are reminded of the real world every day. It turns out the smartest flex isn't the biggest house on the block. It's looking at your bank account and knowing you never have to work again. The cheap house isn't about being broke. It is about buying freedom from the NFL's brutal business model. The league is designed to chew players up and spit them out, replacing expensive veterans with cheaper rookies every single season. By avoiding the mansion trap, players turn a volatile 3-year career into 30 years of absolute financial security. They understand that the only thing more impressive than a $10 million home is a $10 million net worth that nobody can take away from you. The goal isn't to look rich for 3 years, it's to be wealthy for a lifetime. If you want to see more breakdowns of the real numbers behind sports business, including how NBA contracts are rigged differently than the NFL, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. We are digging into the salary cap secrets they don't talk about on ESPN.